This is one of the places I come down to look for tracks. I have found tracks down here before, but I'm definitely not seeing nothing this time around. I'm looking very carefully. If anything's been through here, I'll make out the tracks, because as I'm stepping, I feel myself sinking in. Nothing's definitely has not been through here. At least not down there along the creek bed there. Hey guys, here I am out here exploring nature, doing what I love the most. You know, I'm out here, as I said, exploring, I'm observing, taking my time out here. And, you know, as far as Bigfoot evidence, you're not always going to find it. You'll find potential evidence, possible evidence. To most of us, evidence, it doesn't stand in the world of science. Personally, to us, that's, you know, what we find that we relate to it or associate with Bigfoot. That's our personal evidence, what we declare evidence. Again, it doesn't stand with science. You know, as many know, science is very skeptical. A lot of them are either skeptical or they simply don't believe, which that's whatever. But however, as much as I get out here, as much as I've been out here exploring, you're not always going to find Bigfoot signs. I've actually found more fresh bear sign than anything out here. There's a lot of fresh bear sign because this time of year, September, the leaves are starting to fall. We're starting to get a little bit cooler nights. The bears are on the move a lot more. They're scavenging, and actually very soon bear hunters will be out here running their dogs, pushing the bear around. So the bears will be definitely more on the move here before long. But the best thing to do is, if you're going to get out here, you want to go squatching, forget squatching, forget Bigfoot, get out here and enjoy nature and just take your time observing what's out here. Enjoying the beauty. You know, I know a lot of my videos, a lot of people like, oh, his videos are boring. They just show woods, trees, streams. The best way to find Bigfoot evidence is just to take your time and observe. If you want an encounter, the best chances are don't go looking for one. Go out there and enjoy yourself, be yourself. The Squatches, if it's meant to be, they'll come around to you. Yeah, there's been a few incidents where people happen to stumble across, you know, Bigfoot up close, or happen to be in the right place at the right time. So meanwhile, I hope you guys are enjoying this video. Most of this video that you're going to be seeing is observations of nature. And if I do come across anything here after this, you guys will definitely see it. It'll be on this video. So continue watching, and I hope you guys enjoy. See you guys soon. When you come across X formations like this, you got to question it very carefully. You got to observe it very carefully. Now you got a pushed over pine sapling going over here, starting from our bottom right, going up to the left. Then you got this other piece of rotted wood right here that actually appears that it may have been already on the ground for quite some time and possibly has been placed there. The question is that actually what happened? That's a very good possibility, but we did not observe this happening. It could have been a rotted limb that was attached to one of the trees around it. That's another consideration you need to keep in mind. Did it fall, snap off, and happen to land that way? That's what you got to keep in mind. But I film these and I take pictures of these because they are interesting, because I always you got to keep an open mind to the possibilities, the various possibilities. That's part of observing nature and doing squatching in an objective way. That's very important. Ruling out and considering the other possibilities. That's scientific. Now what we're observing here looks like natural tree fall from weather. That's kind of over time, wind, storms, push these over. But see how there's a couple of them that are actually almost, you know, they make contact with the other trees. Now, over the years, I've come across some pretty fascinating teepee structures that, you know, that stood very, you know, well, where they stood pretty well constructed. Now, here's another thing. Were these placed here on purpose, pushed over? You know, a lot of people like to observe stuff like this, but here is the science side of things. Natural cause, weather, and that includes strong winds, the storms. Throughout the forest here, you have a lot of uprooted trees, down trees, because there's a lot of dead standing trees around here that have yet to come down. Storms will eventually bring them down. So that's something to keep in mind. Sometimes you can find these a little interesting. Now, you got this tree right here. As you can see, it's old, rotted pine. And right here, you got this other tree that's underneath, that's been busted and broke. Now, here's something interesting. You need to ask yourself on this one here, was this tree heavy enough to cause that damage of that tree? Which the other tree is a green tree, is strong, is young, it's not rotted. But look at the break in it. The tree that's laying on top of it almost pretty much looks obvious that it busted it. Almost as if this tree had come down with some strong force. But now look up here. You can see up there the tip of that tree snapped off there as it was coming down. So you can see the tip of the tree that's sitting on top of the pine, that pine sapling. Now here's what I'm going to suggest. When this tree came down, it had some cushion where the full force was not completely brought down. In other words, in my way of thinking on this, that pine sapling broke its momentum and weight and strength of the fall. It almost makes me think that when that came down and snapped off up there, because it is rotten, that this was jammed down there. It was brought down and possibly jammed down, causing that force of break right there. Because you can see where the rest of that tree goes out, and there's still a lot of green on it. It's still it's not rotted. So it's something to think about. I'm not saying Bigfoot did it, but you know, it does appear that it was brought down with some brute force. Because this tree alone is not heavy enough. Something to consider and keep in mind. These are the things I like to point out and get people to think. Never assume Bigfoot did it. But then again, you got to consider that possibility as well as other natural causes. And right over here, I noticed, I'm going to zoom in on it. That's some old bear scat. Right there, that's old diluted bear scat. So here's another possible cause of this tree. It's been pushed over and uprooted. Very likely candidate with evidence that's nearby suggesting that this wasn't done by nature. Well, wildlife, we could consider that nature. However, that there is telling me that there was a bear that did this. As much as I pointed this stuff out in the past, you got to consider and keep in that mind. I've pointed it out numerous times that weather, wildlife, they are famous for doing this. Bears like to push and uproot trees, bend trees, break trees, snap trees, all the above. So you have possible bear damage right there. So here, we walked away. I'll zoom in back on it. There's a tree we were just looking at. We found the bear scat. It was old, weather diluted bear scat. That tree's been broke for quite some time. So here's some other possibilities, because bears like to push on trees. Got to consider wildlife. Never neglect your wildlife. There's a lot of bears out here. Well, all these, a lot of tall grass, ferns. You got to be careful walking through this. There's a lot of undergrowth. It's easy to trip and fall in these areas. You want to try to work your way where there's least resistance. A lot of wildlife does the same thing. Working your way around through and around obstacles. Sometimes it's not always easy. Sometimes when you walk back here, you're behind a lot of the thick stuff. Sometimes eventually, not always, but you come across something that's really fascinating and mind-blowing. And your work and effort, you're pushing through a lot of this debris and semi-rough terrain. Sometimes it will pay off. Like this log, I gotta carefully step over it, take my phone out of my back pocket, so I don't crush it. There we go. Ouch. Yeah, sometimes you get stabbed in the leg like I just did, stepping over that log. Here's another thing I like to look for. Washed out areas like this, you'll definitely come across tracks if there's anything that's been through them. I'm not seeing no animal tracks. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. We got coyote. Yes, indeed. We got coyote tracks right there. Yep. It's a coyote track right there. So, yeah, we got something here. We got a coyote track. Oh. It's not really humid out here. Well, it's a little humid. I'm starting to sweat. I'm starting to feel the sweat starting to roll off of me here as I work my way through all here. We found a coyote track. What else we got around here? Yeah, all this area right here, it's been flooded. This held some water for quite some time. But if we take our time, we'll definitely see some tracks in here. Yeah. It's a little soft. I can feel my feet sinking in just a little bit. It's not too bad. A lot of old washed up debris, sticks and stuff in here. Yeah, the creek, it's right over there. It's actually a double split creek where it starts off as one and splits off around as two, then it joins back together back down here where I started in. So, but we're gonna, there's a couple little things right in this general area I'm gonna take a look at. So one of the things I'm curious about is get a closer look at that right there. Looks interesting. Alright, so this is why I came to look at it. You got some, this is very well most likely natural. Because what you got here, all this other debris, right, like right here, these limbs are snapped over going underneath, over top. And then the camera may not be doing much justice, but it's kind of created over like a small canopy here, you know, where possibly it could have been a bedding area. A lot of times this is not thick enough and heavy enough, but bears use a lot of natural downfall, down trees as bear dens. A lot of people have the concept that bears are in caves. That is not always the case. Bears will take shelter under a lot of fallen timber such as this here, because this here does create a canopy, you know, something to bed under. That's something you seriously got to keep in mind when you're exploring through the woods. You got a lot of natural down trees, such as what we're looking at right here in front of us. Again, bears will use natural downfall, down trees as den areas. So when you're approaching a big uprooted tree and a cluster of trees, take extreme caution that you do not walk up on a bear. Now, in most cases, 95% of the time, bears are going to smell you coming. A black bear, they're not going to hang around. Black bears will usually scatter out of the area. Most of the times I've seen bears out here in these woods, by the time I see them, they're already going in the opposite direction. So consider that, and don't forget that. That's a fact. All right. Yeah, you'll hear me a little out of breath, but I'm working up my way. I came up through that little narrow hollow, and now I'm working up the hill here. This here I thought was just a natural scrape or rub, from deer or turkey. But after further examining it, we got toes up here. We got toes. There's toes up here. And you got the impression, see the shape of the foot. We have a small, that's probably only about 11 inches, maybe 12. Going up here, it's actually old, semi-old, not it's fairly used game trail that runs up through here. But yeah, we got a track right here. There is toes up here. I can feel them and I can see them. Well, I had to share that and point that out to you. That is a track. So, as I'm walking up here, we'll be careful. We'll look more. Yeah, there's a couple other areas that look promising. Don't know where that subject continued on. They could have split off over here, or kept up through this here, which we're going to keep going. Meanwhile, we could be going through the easiest way, but this is not really that hard because this is a game trail right here. Watch, yes, this is a used game trail. Very used game trail. Because the game trail split around here. The deer are very heavy in this area. Now, I can continue going either this way, work my way through these small pine saplings, because eventually I'm going to come out. There's a trail up here. Doesn't matter which way I go, I'll come out on the trail eventually. I know these woods. I know them very. Oops. I just heard a thump. I heard some kind of thump way, way off to my left up here. I don't know what that was, what that could have been, but I heard a thump. I'm going to stop and listen to see if I hear it again. You also want to listen for movement. And I'm not hearing nothing, but we're going to continue on through here, and we'll work our way out to the trail, and then work our way back out the trail, which will lead back out to the forest road eventually. Yeah, what we got right here, I've seen this so many times. Common black bear behavior. Now, a lot of times, if you look close on these pine saplings, you'll see hair. You'll see hair from the subject that broke this. But I'm not seeing none. I look very closely. This is not too old. See how this has been broke down? This limb is tucked over here with these thorns. And again, I'm not seeing no hairs, but most likely this was a bear. Because I've seen this so many times. And we're getting close to the trail. It's pretty thick up and through here. And here in a little bit, I'm going to explain something to you about exactly where we are. Well, here I am. I made it out to the trail. This trail is so grown in from the last time I've been up here. I'm going to tell you what. Yeah, you get a few battle scars exploring up through here. Yeah, that's one of them. Sometimes I get stuff stuck in my beard. Anyway, just brush it off, right? Brush it off. Well, let me tell you something about this whole general area where I'm at. This is like the Sasquatch, Bigfoot territory. Seriously, this is their front yard, their lower front yard. Because 2014, for those who know about the encounter in 2014, the 6 of us had. In 2015, the encounter that I had by myself during hunting season, It all took place just down below where I started off from. They work that area. They come down off, there's a ridge. There's a couple different sets of ridges up through here. And they saddle around to another higher ridge. And then if you go further back, you got a long stretch. Oh, hold up. I heard a loud limb snap. Yes, I heard a loud limb snap, and it sounded like it came up from above. When you hear that, you better pay attention, because there's usually bears in the area. I've had bears come out of trees real close to me before. I'm not lying, I have. Not far from here. I just seen fresh bear sign. Seen old bear scat, there's a lot of bear sign. My whole time out here this week, so far, just even around my camp area, I've been finding a lot of fresh bear sign. And if the bears are nearby and they smell me, yeah, they're going to be scattering. So, whew, I heard that crack. It kind of maybe it startled me a little bit. What I'm doing right now, I'm listening for movement. Well, we're not going to hang around too long. When I started off, I wasn't planning on exploring too far. I've gotten a lot farther than I originally planned. And my sidearm is at camp. Yes, I'm totally unarmed right now. Not even a knife on me, just my phone and this camera. So, but we're gonna work our way back out this trail here. We're gonna continue watching. There's a couple soft areas we'll encounter where I'll be looking for some tracks in those areas along the way out. So meanwhile, yes, this is where the squatches are, right here. This is ECBRO Zone 1. I have my general camp area, I have it broken up in zones. I have a geographical map where in the past, I documented, I sectioned out this whole area. There's a large portion here. This whole general area across from the two camps where we're at is ECBRO Zone 1, ECBRO 1, ECBRO Zone 1. Alright, this is one of the most very active areas around here, and the squatches are here. We've seen them, we've heard them, we found tracks out here. And I'm sorry if you hear me get quiet, because I'm hearing things out here. So, but let's continue. Let's work our way out here. I would actually go further in that way if I was actually armed. You know, because there's coyotes around here. Yep. I ain't worried so much about bears, but if you startle a bear, you know, there's that slight chance that they could get aggressive. Most of the time, black bears are very shy and skittish. They usually go the other way. So let's continue on. Well, I made it back out to the forest road. I only got about maybe a quarter mile back to the camp from where I started in from. Yeah, a good quarter mile. But actually I had a nice little exploration there, a little hike. But when I go back out again, I'm definitely carrying my sidearm, especially after seeing a lot of that fresh bear sign. And I do believe when I came down off that trail, saw some fairly large bobcat tracks. So, but anyway, definitely love the exercise. I need it. So, but again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and watch for the next video. I'll be back.